subscribe to the Donnie Houston podcast, man. Damn, Charlotte. So, okay, that goes on. Smitty dies. Smitty gets killed. Keith Babin goes to jail. Your brother gets, he goes in. Now we in the 90s. You still hustling.
Still hustling. Still hustling. Back in the day, we used to hang out at Elmeda skating ring. And one thing about Keith, every time Keith had a problem with a female, he get on that phone and he called me to come take care of the female. Because he wouldn't put his hands on no female. So we at Elmeda skating ring one night. And this girl tried to talk to Keith. Keith wouldn't talk to her, so she throwed a soda on Keith. So I'm at the skating ring too. So Keith called me and say, come take care of this heifer. So I went and got the girl and I beat her and she jumped in her car and tried to take off and I shot her back windows and stuff out and she took off and stuff. But every time they would get into it with a female or something, even if it wasn't no female, like the shootouts we had at Reed Lounge and the Benz Club and
So my that's crazy you said Reed Lounge. That was my kind of like my uncle through marriage. That was his spot.
oh, that was his place?
Yeah, and Paul Miller, Turning Point, and all them.
Yeah.
Paul Miller's my dad's best friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Y'all used to go to Turning Point and all that, or what?
I went in the Turning Point one in the inside. I used to hang out outside. I went in the inside one time and I ain't like it. It was just too tight up in there. I'm like, I'm a shooter. I'm paranoid. I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. And when we was in there one night, a guy hit this girl on her butt and she took a razor and cut him from one side of his neck to the other. And I said, well, that
Right
nigga,
there in the club.
that nigga won't never touch nobody else.
Yeah, see that.
That nigga won't never touch nobody else.
Man, okay, so you in the 90s and you still hustling. Because you said you got locked up later on.
Mm-hmm.
What ended up leading up to that and around what time was this like?
It was right before Keith then went to the feds. Because I used to call collect to Keith phone all the time. I had got locked up that time because every time the laws stopped me, I get a gun case. I had about 30 gun cases. So it was on gun charges then when I got locked up. And I think I only did like 6 months or something on the gun case, and then I came back out again on probation. I had to do probation again, going over there by the turning point to that probation officer and over there, and had to do community service. I did community service at a church. I ain't do nothing though. They just sign off on my paperwork and stuff like that. But
So you didn't have to ever go in for hustling after the 7 ounces?
mm-mm.
No shit.
Mm-mm. That was the only time just like Roger was out there hustling. Roger never got caught with drugs. He always got caught for the shooting and stuff. Never got caught with drugs. Keith went to the feds for hustling because Keith gave a big block party. I think it was Juneteenth. At Gerard's Records, and it was a big old parking lot. There's a Woodard Bell Bonds and everything, because I used to work for Woodard at the Bell Bonds and Company and everything, and I was the manager of his security company. So Keith gave a big old party up there. So it's packed, and then all of a sudden, a lot of Dodge Ram trucks and vans came pulling up, about to run over everybody, and they got on masks over their face, right? But
They do this at the block party?
At the block party. It was the feds. But let me take you back a little bit before then. When Keith had went to jail once before, he had met this guy in jail. This how the feds go out of their way to get you. He met this guy in jail, and they became good friends. So Keith got out of jail first, but he left his information with the guy and told him to holler at him when he get out. So when the guy got out months later, he came and hollered at Keith, but I'm sure he had been got out the same day Keith got out. So they started hanging together, and Keith hooked him up with all of his connects. He started traveling out of town with Keith, doing everything with Keith. So during the time when the feds ran up at the block party, that guy was one of the feds.
Ooh.
So he knew all of Keith's business.
Ooh.
And he the one busted Keith. So they was
But
on.
he met him in jail.
Mm-hmm. That's how far the feds go to catch you.
They'll put one in the jail. Damn.
That same guy was one of the feds that busted him when they ran up at the block party.
Was he a Fed who was just lingering looking for something, or he was put there specifically to get with Keith and
He was
figure?
put there as an undercover.
Yeah.
He was an undercover, and he knew all of Keith's business because him and Keith had got real tight.
Right. He didn't already told him everything.
Because Keith thought he was just a nigga that was locked up in jail and became cool with him. And then they became cool, and then when
He's
they
the feds.
he was the feds, and then when they was busting the block party, they on radios, cause Keith had one of his BMWs at this girl house. He had stuff at his mama house and everywhere. They done ran up and everything at the same time. So they on the radio talking about we in this address and we in that address. They done busted everything at the same time, and that's how they got it.
God damn.
Donnie Houston.